Hello, Highway Times viewers. Judy Shields here. Today, we welcome Texas Country Music Association award-winning artist Trey Calloway, who is thrilled to announce the release of his new album with 9 tracks, "Wanted Man," out now. Hey, Trey, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, Judy. How about yourself?
Doing good. Got a little tongue twisted there. Too early in the morning for me.
That's all right. What
So
time
that,
is it over there in LA
oh
right
my
now?
goodness, it's 9:30. Come on, I should
Ooh,
be awake long
that's
ago.
early. That's early for musicians, though. That's
Right?
early for
See,
us.
you're a couple hours ahead of us,
We
aren't
are.
you?
Yes, it is 11:30 here. Yes,
Well,
ma'am.
actually, folks, today we're here to talk to Trey about his latest single, which is, I believe, going to be released on Valentine's Day.
Yes, ma'am.
There you
Yes,
go.
ma'am.
So we get a little sneak peek of it. And so it's called Your Love is Safe with Me. And let me tell you, I was telling him before we got on the recording here that that's just sort of my new anthem for my new fella because it's like I feel safe, with him. And so it's an amazing song. Where did this song come from? Did you write it? Co-write? Tell us the
I
story.
I co-wrote it with my friend David Alex Barton. And the song you're right, it's definitely semi-biographical. I mean, it just fit perfectly with the narrative. I just got married a couple months ago, and it was like this song was perfect timing. It was all in God's plan. So when I wrote this song, actually, my wife and I live apart from each other. We have a long. I live in Nashville. She lives in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina,
Hmm.
doing her career as well as me chasing my career. And but she happened to be working in. She was here when we wrote the song, and so she was the first one to hear it. So she
Oh.
came out. She was like, "You're recording that song, or else." She really liked it immediately.
So did you play it at your wedding?
I did not. So she had asked me to play. I wanted to. She didn't want me to hire a band. She didn't want to hire a band for the wedding because she knew that if we did hire a band for the wedding, that I was going to end up on stage instead of dancing with her all night, which is smart. She was smart to do that. So, but I did have to surprise her and play one song. But I played her a song that I actually wrote a couple years ago called "We Got Love" that I have not recorded yet, but she's waiting on me to record that one as well. Yeah, that's a I honestly I'm getting to the point now where I'm writing so many songs where I feel like, man, these are really strong songs. I could record all of these. So I guess I'm just going to spend the next 30 years recording all these songs that I that I've written, and hopefully I'll get them all out of me before I croak.
Oh
So
my
that's the
goodness.
goal anyway, Judy. That's the goal.
Well, with Valentine's Day coming up a week from Friday, let's find out your little love story. How did you and your new bride meet?
So we have a very funny story. I was actually, it was during COVID. The
Oh,
COVID had hit, and so I was living in Nashville. A lot of people don't know that this is actually my second go around in Nashville. I lived here at the end of 2019. I was living here, and things were going really well. I was really loving it. I had sold almost all of my belongings, my house in Myrtle Beach, and I had moved out here and said, I'm gonna really take a run at this. Things were going great, and then the pandemic hit, and everything shut down. And Nashville, as far as Nashville goes,
yeah,
Nashville just closed.
yes.
And so I was out of work like that because I've always made my living playing music. I got a couple of construction gigs. I say gigs because I'm so used to playing shows. I got a couple of construction jobs during COVID to kind of hold me over.
Yeah.
But I always wanted to get right back into music. So I moved back to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where I had moved from, because South Carolina really didn't have nearly as strict of shutdowns as Nashville did.
Mhm.
And I was still able to make a living playing in South Carolina. So I happened to be in this bar called Captain Archie's down there in North Myrtle Beach. And she had just graduated from Ohio State, like a couple of days. And
Wow.
she was like, I'm moving to Myrtle Beach. Her family spent all of their summer vacations every year coming to Myrtle Beach. So it was a big part of her heart and her life. And she always wanted to live there. And we just met. I walked up to her, and I was still drinking at the time. I have to be honest with you. I don't drink anymore, but I was still drinking at the time. And I walked up, thank you. I walked up to her, and I'd had a couple of liquid courage shots. I guess that's one good thing drinking did for me, was gave me the courage to walk up to her. And I said something to the degree of, hey, you want a shot of Fireball or something like that. Something I was trying to be smooth. It was probably not as smooth as I thought it was coming off in my head. But she agreed. She was with her friend, and then so my buddy Archie's is built on a boat marina.
Oh,
Right. It's a bar that's right on the waterway, the little international waterway that runs up through Myrtle Beach. And so my buddy had his boat with him that night, and I asked her and her friend if they wanted to come out and hang out with us on the boat after the gig. And she was hesitant, naturally, but she agreed. I think because she had her buddy with her, she had a girlfriend with her, and we went out and had a wonderful night. We danced on the bow of the ship, and it was very romantic. And I asked her for her number, and the rest is history. She ignored me for about a week after that. I think she had to play hard to get for a little bit, but then then after about a week, we were we were thick as thieves after that.
well, that's good to
We've
hear.
been we've been inseparable pretty much ever since.
Oh, that's cool.
It was a perfect timing kind of thing. Sometimes I think about that, Judy, whether or not one decision can alter our lives in such a insane way. If I'd never walked up to her, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. Think about that. That's
Yeah,
insane when you think about that. That's the kind of stuff that'll drive you crazy, you know?
I know you just.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes,
But
ma'am.
it's good. It makes for good songwriting, right?
Hmm. Well, I mean, I've got the songwriting syndrome for sure. Everything anybody says, I'm like, hold on, I got to write that down. You know,
Well, so how old were you when you first, couple of things like discovered your voice, first instrument, and first song? When did all that happen in your life?
so so my mom and dad figured out I was a good singer around the age of 5 or 6, or maybe it was around. My mom basically says when you started talking, you started singing, and and they they were listening to Tim McGraw on the radio. I think it was "I Like It, I Love It," if I'm not mistaken. And mom said that I had heard the song only a couple times, but knew every word already and was singing along on pitch. Um, and they were like, Trey sounds good back there. He's singing pretty good back there. And then my dad was a Pentecostal evangelist when I was growing up. And so that's where I really got to singing in front of people, was going to all of his congregations and all of his sermons. I would sing before he would preach. And then, man, around the age of 13, I rediscovered country music, and it was all over but the crying. I was a honky tonk man after that, I guess. That turned me into a honky tonk man.
And what type of instruments do you play?
So I play guitar. Guitar is my main instrument for sure.
Yeah.
I play the drums. Drums was my first instrument. I am a pretty decent drummer. I would say good enough to get the job done. Sometimes during a gig, if it's a slow night, we happen to be towards the end of the night. If it's died out a little bit, the drummer will come up and sing and grab my guitar, and I'll go back there on the drum set and play. So I would say I'm just rusty. I need practice, but I'm the drums was my first musical instrument that I really love. I play a little harmonica, a little bit of banjo, and very little piano. But I can tell you where all the notes are on the piano and stuff like that. But I probably could learn how to play the piano, but it's a tricky beast. It's a tricky instrument to learn.
Yeah, it looks like it. It sounds
Yeah,
beautiful, but boy, you
it
just see them
does.
with their fingers. I'm like, they need like four sets of hands.
Yeah, it
Seriously,
does. It really does. But
but it
I,
sounds
I
beautiful.
yeah, I tried to play the fiddle one time. I actually pawned a guitar for a fiddle,
Yeah.
and I tried to play that thing. I couldn't make heads or tails of that thing. Fiddles are. I went and took it back and got my guitar back.
When you're a little kid and you learn music back in the day,
Yeah,
we're talking, back in the 70s for
yeah,
me,
yeah.
everyone had their flutes. You learn with the little black flute. And then
Oh
I
yeah,
took the fiddle, and yet they said, that's a violin. But I was a
yeah,
country girl. I said, no, this is a
yeah.
fiddle. And
It's
they
a
just
fiddle.
wanted me to do classical, no country. And I'm like, this is not going to work for me. I was telling my dad, because that's where I got my country love
Yeah,
from. And, so I was learning it. And I said, man, it was hurting my fingers. And I said, my brain and my fingers don't work. So forget
yeah.
it.
That's really cool. Judy? Do you know the difference between a fiddle and a violin?
What's the difference?
So a violin has strings and a fiddle has strings.
Oh, there you go.
My fiddle player, she always says that the fiddle is soaked with beer. That's the difference. the wood grain changes after enough beer has soaked into the wood. It turns it into a fiddle.
That's hilarious.
So,
Not
yeah.
not because I'm a woman, but I think females are the best, fiddle
Oh
players
yeah.
out there. The
Oh
guys
yeah.
can do but the women, ooh, they make
Oh
it
yeah.
sing.
Absolutely. I mean, I, I, she, her name's Lucy. She's amazing. She's a great player. I also play with a guy named Chris Richards. We do a little acoustic trio on Sundays. We do a lot of original music, a lot of my own stuff. And man, they're a great band. They're a great band. And then I've got my regular boys that play with me, Darcy, Tristan, Nick, and Blair, and they're all phenomenal as well. So I've got one main band that plays with me, and then I've got a little acoustic trio that plays with me
Okay.
on Sunday. And man, if I could get all of them into one group, that's the band.
Wow.
That's the band I'm taking on the road right there. That's the road band right there.
So your Valentine's release song, Your Love is Safe with Me. So who did you have play on that one? That particular.
So that was cut over at Saxman Studios. That's the same place we cut the One in Man album, and we were gonna potentially put Your Love is Safe with Me on the Wanted Man album, but we figured that the album was perfect. It was exactly what we needed it to do. So Your Love is Safe with Me is really a standalone single. You know what I mean? It's just like, hey, beginning of the new year, let's go come in with a bang. And that was cut over at Saxman Studios, produced by Grady Saxman, and a lot of great players on that thing. I could name them all. Phenomenal players. I mean, Wanda Vick, she's just an example. She played fiddle and banjo on a lot of that stuff, and she's won like ACM or CMA like Player of the Year several times
Mhm.
over. And just I could go on and on. All of the players on that album are amazing. They
So
played their butts off. They played their butts off.
yeah, that's a good way. You could tell it's I appreciate, songs. I listen to it just to hear the melody. Then I
Yeah,
listen to it to hear the different kind of instruments that I think I
yeah,
can pick out. And then I like try to tune that out and listen to your voice. And then I listen, to the words and like, oh, and then go back and play it over and over. It
yeah.
takes a while for it to sink into me, which I
Absolutely,
love it.
absolutely. Well, songs have to you have to hear them a couple times before you
Yeah.
really get them. I think.
Yeah. And that's what's great about I mean, I still love my CDs. I love it when the artists have CDs. It's like, okay,
Oh
send me
yeah.
one because I my
We talked about that last time I spoke to you. I
yeah,
think I
we
still
did.
have a CD if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know the people to get on to and get you a CD. Get you a
Yes,
CD.
because I love to I like to go on drives and it's like I put that CD. I still have a CD player. I got a
Oh
2018
yeah.
Ford Edge.
Oh
I bought that model because that was the last year they had a CD player. So
yeah. You actually can't see it. It's right off camera right here. But I've got my grandma, my late grandmother, my Mama Lynn. I've got her entire record collection. I my
oh
dad,
man.
my dad didn't. He was like, "You're the musician." He's like, "These mean more to you than they'll mean to me." I've actually got her old record player right here sitting too.
Oh
It's broken right now. The record player does not work. I need to get it fixed, but I
yeah.
feel like I could probably fix it pretty easy. And one of these days, years, I'm going to get around to fixing it. But the records are all right there. There's Elvis. I see the Elvis, and she was a
Yes.
huge Elvis fan, and she raised me to be a big Elvis fan.
Aw.
I've actually got a new song that's about her and Elvis. So I'm gonna save that one. I'm gonna save the surprise for you. So
All right, we'll have to talk for that one for
all
sure.
right, very
I
cool.
have 8 tracks. Do you know what an 8 track is?
I do. I've never actually seen one in person, but I do know what they are. I do know what they are, but I've never held one. But I remember the cassettes. I was a
Yeah.
kid when the cassettes were a thing. I
Yeah.
remember my dad just, sitting there with the pencil, you know what I mean, rewinding them. And I remember that pretty well. I remember that. But CDs was definitely the thing when I
Yeah,
was
of
the
course.
thing I remember most. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
pretty cool. Yeah, my dad, I found he passed away a couple of years ago, a
I'm
couple of
sorry to
years
hear it.
ago. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. And found a whole box of 8 tracks of Elvis Presley. I said, really?
Oh,
Wow. I said, oh, I've got to hang on to those puppies.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I see it right here. There's one that says Elvis right on. I can't tell which one it is, but it's. I need to go back and listen to these. I probably enjoy that.
Did your grandma also have any 45s, the smaller
Oh yeah, yeah.
vinyls? Yeah, that's what my
There's a
dad
bunch of.
had.
So what are the big ones called? What are the big ones
Just the
called?
LPs,
She's got a bunch of those
76 or
LPs,
78s. Yeah,
and then here are the lip. They're about that big.
the 45s. Yeah.
I've got them all lined up right there, and then all lined
Aw.
on the bottom with
You
the big
hang
old.
on to those.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're not going anywhere. She loved the Temptations. She loved Motown. She loved rock and roll. She liked country a little bit. Country was more my Peppa Frankie was more the
Okay. Yeah.
her husband was more the country lover, and he was the one that instilled the love of country music in my dad, and then
Okay.
dad did that for me as well. So yeah,
That's cool. That's very cool.
yeah.
So, how are you promoting your new song? Getting ready for next week.
I mean, honestly, talking to wonderful people like you, they're running me ragged. They've got me doing a whole bunch of these, but I see this is the for me, Judy. This is the fun part.
Yeah.
Talking to people like you who love music and love getting to know guys like me and
Yeah.
artists and what we the blood, sweat, and tears we put into this is everything to me. So we're doing the press stuff and also I mean, I play these songs out almost every show, and somebody actually asked me today if I have a signature song yet, which was I thought was a great question.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, I don't. I said, I don't yet. I said, usually the signature song finds you, I think, more
Yeah.
than you find it. So
That's true.
yeah, but yeah, we're just gonna try to play some bunch of shows this year and already working on the new album. I mean, honestly, in today's environment you just have to stay recording.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
cutting a new song tomorrow. Going into the studio, cutting a new song tomorrow. That's going to be coming around Memorial Day. I don't want to spoil the surprise, but that's
Okay.
coming around Memorial Day. Yeah.
Great. Let's have your social media so all of our viewers can find you.
Yes, ma'am. So I'm www.TreyCallowayMusic. That's my website, and there's links to all of my stuff on that website. But Instagram is the social media platform that I'm probably the most active on. But also I have TikTok, trying to grow the TikTok. You know how all that stuff works. Then
Yes.
Facebook as well. Spotify. If you want to hear the music I'm working on, go check me out on Spotify. I think I've put out like 50 songs now. I think I've got like 50 songs out now that just kind of catalog. If you go from to the beginning, go to the Carolina Man album and you just follow all the way up to the Wanted Man album, and then Your Love Is Safe With Me, you can kind of get a snapshot of the my career thus far. So more to come. I got a lot of new music coming your way this year.
Oh, so your new one, the Wanted Man album, you've got 9 tracks. How is it your responsibility, the producer? Who is it that chooses the name of the album? Is that part of you?
Well, I think it's kind of a joint. It's kind of a joint effort. I think it depends on the producer.
Yeah.
Grady really didn't have any kind of say in what we called the album. He didn't really want to have nothing to do with that. He had a lot to do with the production, the sounds of everything. He and I kind of co-produced the stuff together. He's a wonderful producer, great guy as well, and it was me and my team that kind of figured out, hey, we've got to call this album Wanted Man. It fit perfectly. The title just fit perfectly. And I have no idea what we're going to call the next one, but I hope it's. I have an idea,
Yeah.
but I want to wait. You know what I mean? I want to wait to see kind of what comes to fruition.
Well, I wanted to talk to you about Horses in Heaven because I grew
Yes,
up with
ma'am.
horses. Where did that come from? Inspiration? It's
Thank you for asking. I love talking about this song. Every chance I get, I love talking about the song. So Horses in Heaven is off the Wanted Man album,
yes.
and it was written by myself, Doc Lewis, J.P. Williams,
Oh,
and Cody Kelly. Um, and the song was not originally about what it became about for me. Doc Lewis was the one who threw out the hook idea in the right. He said, there's I've had this written down. I thought about you guys. I thought Trey would be the perfect artist to sing something like this. And it's there are horses in heaven. I know God must be a cowboy and there's horses in heaven. And we were like, man, all the other ideas we were throwing around just went out the window. We said we're writing that one today. About an hour later, we had the song written, and the song was originally just kind of about any nameless, faceless person that somebody who's listening might have lost can relate to this song, and it still is that for anybody listening out there. But for me personally, I had a friend named Andrew Russell that was a musician, wonderful musician, one of the most talented guys I ever had the fortune to play with, and one of the best friends I ever had. But he had problems with addictions, and his life ended about a year ago. And I was actually in the studio when his father called me, crying. I started crying. I had to go. I had to leave the studio for a minute to go cry because, it was terrible. He had been clean for a while. He was up in Pennsylvania with a sponsor, and he just got a hold of some stuff, and
Yeah.
it ended his life. So every time I would sing the song, I didn't want to. I've always had kind of a thing about telling too much personal stuff in my life, but the older I get, the more I realize that's what people want, is the genuineness and the authenticity of something, saying, hey, this song became about this person, this happened to me, maybe this can help you as well. And every time I sing the song out now, I think of him. I miss him very much. He was there when my son was born.
Oh,
He was good friends with we were great friends. Our families were close, and he was one of my best buddies. I miss him very much. So actually, the first time I ever played the song out live, we were opening up for McBride and the Ride,
yeah.
and we played Horses in Heaven. I think it was in the middle of the set, but that was the song that hit everybody the most. And it was just a very intimate setting. It was just me and my piano player doing this gig. And when I sang Horses in Heaven, we did it at the Neon Steeple, and the room just sounds amazing. That's Eric Church's new music venue downtown.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great sounding room, and it just rang out so beautifully in there. And then this big, tough biker guy comes up to me at the end of the show, and I'm like, "Uh oh, do I owe this guy money or something like that?" But he was the nicest guy ever, and he's crying, and he looks at me and he says, "That song made me think about my mom and my dad," and I cried in the middle of the show while you were singing it. And I was like, man, that's why we do it. That's why we sing it. For me, it's Andrew. For
Yeah.
that guy, it was his mom and dad. So thank you
Mhm.
for letting me
Yeah, because
talk
like
about
I said, I
that song.
lost my dad a couple years ago, so it was just like, and he didn't have anything to do with horses, but he
Yeah,
allowed me to have them, and and it just the title was like, I gotta, what is this song? Because you never know what a song's really about, and
yeah,
the songwriter, the singer, it could be different to all types of people,
yeah.
but you explained it exactly what I was hoping.
It's one of my favorite songs off that album. It's one of my favorite songs I've ever written,
Yeah,
honestly.
well,
Yeah.
thank you for that one.
You're very welcome, Judy. Thank you for asking.
So your tour is starting. You're going to be out and about.
Yeah, we're going to try to get down to Texas this year a bunch. We're going to try to get up to the Midwest. We'll try to get out to the Carolinas. We're planning everything right now. My main focus, I think most artists nowadays' main focus has to be writing and recording and putting out songs, because social media is such an integral part of the business now. It's become so important. So the touring is going to be more along the lines of planning a little bit here, planning a little bit there, planning a little bit here, and doing it while we can, making sure that it's something we can pull off. But definitely Texas, definitely the Midwest, definitely the South, and I'd love to come out west one of these days. I
No.
almost made it out to Vegas last year. We got invited to do some gigs in Vegas, but we ended up being booked, and we couldn't come out there. But maybe this
Oh,
year, maybe this year.
I'll drive to Vegas to see you. That's for sure. Not
How
a
far
problem.
is Vegas from Los Angeles? How far of a
Well,
drive
from
is it?
where I live, it's about 3.5 hours.
That's not bad at all.
But
That's
no,
not
so
bad
I
at all.
will come up and see you for sure.
I went out there one time already. I've been in Vegas one time in my life. It was a lot of fun, man. It's a crazy city. I can't wait to go back. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. So,
Yeah.
well, congratulations on the new album, Wanted Man, and especially on that amazing song, Your Love is Safe with Me. And for
Thank you.
Valentine's Day, what a wonderful time to release it. So,
Thank you.
we appreciate you taking the time, and this video will go up on our YouTube channel, Hollywood Times Official, and we'll get that out here at the end of the day. It's great to see you. You look wonderful. Congratulations on the new
Thanks.
marriage and everything and all your great songs.
Thanks, Judy. You as well. I can't wait to talk to you again. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, thank you so much.